Hi, I'm Liz Fenwick, the author of 7 novels set in Cornwall, and I'm delighted to be here today talking to the Seasalt Book Club about my latest book, The Path to the Sea. I'm also delighted because I love sea salt clothing, and I've been wearing their versions of fishermen's smocks for ages because they have what I call my essential pocket, so I can put my phone, a small notepad and a pen in it as I wander around on my many plot walks around Cornwall, taking notes, thinking about books. This book, The Path to the Sea, is my latest, and I'm going to read you a selection from it. But before I do that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it. It's the story of 3 women and their connection in many ways to the house Boskenna, which is above Porthbean Beach in St. Austell. They all have secrets that they want to keep hidden, and as the weekend, because it's told over one weekend in 1962 and 2018, a lot of things will be revealed, willingly and unwillingly. In 1962, the story is told between Joan, the mother, and Diana, the daughter, who is 8 years old. In the modern day story, we see Diana as a 60-year-old woman and her daughter Lottie as a 28-year-old. And the piece I'm going to read to you is from Diana as an 8-year-old in 1962. 3rd of August, 1962, 5:15 p.m. The sun had disappeared and her stomach growled loudly. Diana hoped Daddy heard it. He said he'd help. Mr. and Mrs. Van set off, and then he would come up to the house with her. But they'd been there ages, and Daddy was just holding the Vens vote and talking and talking. She was tired of the Vens, and she wanted time with Daddy on her own. She'd had to share him with them every day for over a week, and now they were taking him all to themselves again. It wasn't fair. She picked up a mussel shell, and it moved it so that the colours and size changed. Every so often she heard a word: meeting, deliver, urgent. They were almost whispering, but the breeze brought their secrets to her. She loved secrets. Mummy and Diana played the secret game all the time. Mummy said living in Moscow made secrets important. Things had to be kept tucked away, just like the little Russian doll hid inside the biggest one. She'd brought her dolls with her to Cornwall. They had set them on her windowsill so they could see the sea. They had never seen it before, only the Moskva. Diana liked saying Moskva. It rolled off her tongue like when she said her piano teacher's name, Madame Roskova. She could roll her R's, but Daddy couldn't. Mummy was very good at hers. Diana had heard her reading aloud from her Russian book. It was called War and Peace. She dropped the shell and picked up a piece of sea glass. It was strange to find one so high up the beach. Normally she found them in the wet sand. She looked out to the point. There was a cormorant drying its wings. She loved the way her tongue vibrated and tingled a bit when she did it. Diana, what on earth are you doing? Daddy looked over his shoulder. Mr. Venn put a hand on Daddy as a wave rocked the boat. She frowned. The wind was turning, which was good. They wouldn't have to row out into the bay. They could sail. They weren't very good at sailing, but they were worse at rowing. She just wanted them to leave. She and Daddy couldn't be pirates when they were here. Daddy became all serious with them around. She spun around, looking up at the grey clouds. A gull's wing seemed to become a part of the sky at the tips, but the mizzle was beginning to fall. She liked the word mizzle, but she didn't like the actual thing. Diana, Daddy spoke crossly. She didn't know what she'd done wrong, but she heard Mr. Venn say, "See you tomorrow," and to get something. She fell to the sand and watched the Venn's sail flap until it caught some wind. It did, and they frowned. They did that a lot when they didn't think they were being watched, but Diana watched everything. Even when he was frowning, Mr. Venn looked like a movie star, but Mrs. Venn didn't. Diana didn't like her. She kept sending Diana on silly errands to get things that the adults didn't need. Daddy took her hand and pulled her to her feet. "Let's see if Mrs. Hoskin has anything you can nibble, as that tummy of yours is noisy enough." She smiled up to him and moved closer as they climbed up to the house. He kept looking over his shoulder. She wasn't surprised that he kept checking on the Vens. They were terrible on the water, but they didn't know that. Diana had noticed Daddy retying all the knots yesterday when they had been on the big sailing boat. They said they were from the Midwest in America, and Diana knew from her geography lessons that there wasn't any sea there, so that must be why they were so bad. She liked geography and maps. Uncle Tom had given her an atlas for Christmas last year. He had spent hours with her, telling her about places and people he'd met in them. She loved Uncle Tom. Mummy and Daddy did too. Daddy, why do you like the Vens so much? He stopped walking and looked at her. Why do you ask? Diana wrinkled her nose. 'Cause we've spent so much time with them. A smile spread across his face, and his eyes smiled too. Well, they are new to Cornwall, and I want them to feel welcome. She frowned. Why hasn't Mummy come along to make them welcome? She's good at that. She is, but she's been busy with Boskenna. Diana looked up to the big house. This was the place she loved most in the world, with its round ends and secret floor. It really wasn't secret, but it was easy to miss because everyone looked at the ends and the big windows. The second floor wasn't often used, but Mummy had Mrs. Hoskins airing out a room above hers for some American arriving tomorrow. The window was still open, so the room must be very short of breath. Does Boskenna need Mummy? They walked along the gravel path framing the lawn. They had played croquet yesterday before the rain. Mr. Hoskin had put the croquet set away. Yes, because the old dame has damp and the roof needs attention. Is dame another word for house? What sort of attention does the roof need? And is Mummy wiping up the damp? Something like that, Daddy laughed, and she joined him. She liked it when Daddy laughed, and she hadn't been doing it enough lately. Even Mummy said that. Diana had overheard them talking when they'd arrived. She had hidden in her favourite spot under the table just outside the dining room. Mummy was worried about him. Daddy said he was just tired, but Mummy had given him one of her looks, and Diana knew those too well. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is a book to escape into. It will hopefully take you away from lockdown worries and transport you to Cornwall in 1962 in the middle of the Cold War, and to 2018, the hottest summer that we had of late. Thank you again for listening to me and wishing you all the best. The book is available at Waterstones and those independent bookstores that are still open, and a few supermarkets, as well as online, ebook and audio. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.